The anime of the year is not Attack on Titan, it is not Bleach Thousand Year Blood War, and it's not Jujutsu Kaisen. The anime of the year is...
Can we get much higher? So high. Can we get much higher? So high.
So, why is Vinland Saga the best anime of 2023? Sit back, relax, and let's talk about it. You see, Vinland Saga is actually peak Land Saga in disguise. This anime is what happens when you have perfect storytelling, perfect world building, and perfect character development. And you will see why I say this as we go on. But first, let's talk about Thorfinn and Askeladd's relationship in the series. Season 1 follows Thorfinn and his vengeful quest to avenge his father, who was killed by the legendary Askeladd. Thorfinn in season 1 of the anime was the man you called when you wanted to get shit done. We had this big ass nigga, right? This big ass nigga named Thorkel, who was the strongest character alive. And Thorfinn was like 16 or 17 fighting this man. And he gave him a run for his money. He gave him a good fight. Not once, but twice. Nigga, when I was 16, I was trying to figure out how to cure my crippling Fortnite addiction.
It's not an addiction, it's a hobby.
The dynamic between Askeladd and Thorfinn is very complex, and it evolves significantly throughout the series. And this is something that isn't very conventional in anime. And what he seeks to do was fight and defeat Askeladd in combat. He wanted them to duel so they will fight to the death, in hopes that he will avenge his dead father, of course. But also, Askeladd, on the other hand, sees Thorfinn as a skilled and valuable warrior, but also as a means to an end. A disposable tool, if you will, just like your man. And as the story progresses, we gradually see the dynamic shift. Askeladd recognizes Thorfinn's potential and in some ways takes him under his wing. While Askeladd is still driven by that same self-interest and his own agenda, he imparts lessons to Thorfinn and becomes a mentor of some sort. Thorfinn in turn still grapples with his intense desire for revenge, but at this time in his mind, he has conflicting influences of Askeladd's teachings. At this point, you can even argue Askeladd kind of became his father to some degree, or at least a father figure in his life. Be it he was not the best father, right? He still had the influences of a father in Thorfinn's life. Now, there are two very important things to note, and yes, they are spoilers, so you can skip ahead to this part of the video right here if you don't want to hear the spoilers. The first season ends with Thorfinn watching Askeladd die. Yes, the man he spent over 10 years of his life trying to kill died right before his eyes. And what's worse is he wasn't the one to end his life. He watched someone else, another very important character in this story, King Canute. You see, Thorfinn spent his entire childhood all the way to his adult years with Askeladd, eating with him, fighting with and for him, and it created this weird father-son dynamic, which left him broken at the death of Askeladd, and that's where season 1 ends. Season 2 picks up a while later, right? And the bloodthirsty, vengeful Thorfinn we all know and love is gone. What happened to all that rage and anger? What happened to all that drive and viciousness? Now he is an empty husk of what he used to be, with a heavy soul working as a slave on a farm with no direction or purpose in his life, just like me. And it stays that way for a while. Now, with all that said, two things here set Vinland Saga apart from everything else I watched in the entirety of 2023. Firstly, the sudden pivot from action-packed violence. Secondly, the character development of the entire cast. And quite frankly, I really did not see anything on this level this year. But let's get on to the final arc of this video. Character development is an art. An art that so many writers will never get perfect. But not Makoto Yukimura. I really hope I pronounced that name right, and if I didn't, I'm sorry, it wasn't intentional. Vinland Saga is really about the path that leads to our main cast embodying what it means to be a human being. It's about no longer being in shackles by what is considered normal in a very oppressive society, but breaking those bounds and establishing new ideals. It's about doing whatever it takes for the greater good. It's about internal conflict and having to live with the choices you make. It's about fighting demons and coming to terms with the fact that you cannot change the past, but only look towards a better future. And I love how everything I just said extends to every single character in the anime. One of my favorite characters in this anime is King Canute. I love the character he turned out to be and how he always used the utilitarian thought process before any action. I have watched tons of anime, and this year particularly I watched a handful of anime. I'll be honest, I didn't watch every single thing that comes out there. I heard around an average of 800 anime come out every year. I probably watched like 15 to 20 anime this year, so this is obviously a biased opinion, right? But nonetheless, it's my opinion. And one thing with Vinland Saga is how I saw a lot of complaints about it. You see, I just watched the anime this week, right? And it's been out since I think April, June, July. I can't remember when exactly it came out, but even when it came out, I was seeing complaints everywhere, all over Twitter, all over mine. And obviously, I was also seeing people glorifying the anime, so it's not like it was a one-sided affair. And you'd think, you know, from an outside perspective, maybe they did something wrong, right? But this week I was like, why don't I just watch it? Why don't I just see what's going on, right? And it just happened to be the best anime I watched this year, and it's kind of sad it just doesn't get as much love as it should. Now, I'm not here to shit on niggas who aren't okay with the pace and the drastic reduction in action, because there is very little action in season 2, right? Compared to what we saw in season 1. In season 1, we saw them scrapping almost every day, but not in season 2. Season 2 was a little bit more peaceful. Be it there was action, there was a good amount of action, but it just wasn't the same as season 1. I guess that will put a lot of people off, but I'm not here to shit on them anyways. Everyone has different taste, but I think it's just sad how it doesn't get the love it deserved. But yeah, and I also need to commend, you know, Yukimura on being able to take such a bold decision, you know, taking something that was filled with action, packed with violence, and then turning it a little bit more pacifist. And it was a really bold decision that paid off. It paid the hell off, and I just have to say it was a great decision on his part. But that brings us to the end of the video. If you watched this far, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe while we are on our road to 1K. It would really mean a lot if you could hit 1K. So once again, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, it's something national, underground, underhouse, and I drop the ground like a million elephants, a silverback around.